Everybody, John Van Dyke here for New Jersey Exposed. Today is Saturday, June 5th?
Yes, sir.
June 5th, that's what he's telling me. 2021. Time is, I don't know what time it is.
About 7 p.m.
It's about 7 p.m. Jersey time. So there's an article out on NJ.com and it reads as follows. And it's just more evidence of what goes on. Cops say they don't want ticket arrest quotas. New Jersey bill banning them takes step forward. So let me read this article. After hearing a debate between police chiefs and officers, a state assembly committee on Wednesday, and this is dated June 3rd, on Wednesday sent a proposed bill barring the use of ticket and arrest quotas to evaluate officers' performance on for a possible vote. The bipartisan bill was unanimously approved for release by the Assembly Law and Public Safety Committee. It is now up to the Assembly Speaker, Craig Coughlin, from Democrat from Middlesex, whether to post the bill or for a vote of the full Assembly version of the bill must pass the full Senate and Assembly before it can head to the governor's desk. The state already bans quotas but doesn't forbid using tickets and arrest numbers for deciding whether to promote, demote, or reward individual officers. Representatives of the State Chiefs of Police Association and the State Policemen's Benevolent Association, that's the union, PBA, that's the bad one.
And the State Police Chiefs Association, that's another special interest in Trenton.
Yes.
Very powerful special interest.
So, debate whether using the numbers of arrests made the tickets issued was needed to evaluate an officer's performance or whether the public perception of quota undermines trust. Supporters of the bill said it would give members of the public trust that they're not being targeted to meet an unofficial or informal quota. Well, let me tell you something, people. They arrest you. The cops are under pressure to arrest. Because if you're a cop and you're out there and you're not arresting anybody, and I've had officers tell me this, that, you know, if you don't do this, you don't do this for a while. At some point you get called in the office and they say, hey, what's going on? So an officer is pressured, in one respect, is pressured to arrest because that makes him look like he's doing a job. The chief wants him to make arrests because then the chief gets up there in the public and says, look at all the crime we took off the street. We arrested all these bad people. So it's a political thing, these arrests. So this is how a chief of police shows that he's doing his job. He says, look, we got crime, I'm arresting these people. I can't do any more than that. I'm doing my best. I'm arresting people. And all the bootleggers, yeah, that's right, get all those crooks off the street. Now, the thing with the tickets, there is an unwritten rule that these cops, not all cops go out and do tickets. You made some of the bigger departments, they have an officer whose sole job is to do motor vehicle enforcement all day long. He's a traffic cop. Smaller departments might be a little bit different, but a larger department, they'll have a traffic division, and that's their job, to ride around and screw with people. Now, the reason for the ticketing, the pressure for the tickets, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, is you go look at your town budget. Go Google it, look it up. You can do, I always talk about Homedale, that's the one I'm familiar with. You look up Homedale's budget, and for 2019, pre-COVID, their budget allocated, they figured into the anticipated court fines revenue. That's the line item you're looking for. So you go in the budget and you look for where money is taken in. Not the receivables, not the payables. And there's a line item called anticipated court fines revenue, and the budget will have in there, for example, Homedale for 2019 showed $525,000. That's based on last year's performance, and last year in 2018, I believe they realized like $533,000 in court fines and revenue. So that's tickets, arrests, and fines that you pay. That's the business that the cops send to the courts. So the following year is based on $525K. So they know, all right, so we should pretty much get that amount of money.
Picture.
And what?
Cut me in the picture. Get me in.
So anyway, so the following year, you get into the COVID situation. I go back at 2020, You stop smiling at me.
No, because I'm smiling at the camera because what you're saying is you're getting to a point that was the reason I want to be in the picture.
All right, so the point is, so for the COVID thing, police were being reactive, not proactive, so they were not pulling anybody over. Actually, the police were behaving the way I want them to behave. Leave everybody the hell alone.
Unless you absolutely have to pull somebody over.
If we need you, we'll call you. Right. So what happened, Homedale put in the 2020 budget that the anticipated court fines revenue was $250,000. They cut it a little less than half. Now, I'll be interested to see when the new budget comes out next month, I guess it is, or August, to see what they actually realize. So let me say something, people. So if you got a budget that's anticipating $500,000 and you don't send $500,000, that is going to affect the budget. And you take a little town like Englishtown, where that's all they do all day long is revenue enforcement, because the town depends on that money, and if they don't do it, it can cause a serious budget deficit.
Homedale's almost just as Homedale is as needy when it comes to that.
So as far as these cops saying, you know, I don't want the cops to be based on that. I want them to be based on how they behave, how many use of force complaints they have, how many IA investigations on them,
how they handle situations,
how how are they in the community, you know, what are they doing? That's what have they cost the town any money in lawsuits? That's what I want to know. To me, that's a good officer to me. Somebody who's doing good in the community, and he's being a positive person in the community, keeping everybody safe.
Now the question is, John, these communities that had to be reactive instead of proactive during COVID, now that we're in the first summer post-COVID, presumably, are they going to ramp it up just as much to make up for that money?
Of course they're going to ramp it up, because now the masks are off. Here in New Jersey, they removed the mask. There's only certain situations you have to wear a mask.
Few and far between.
Few between. It's up to the business whether they want to wear a mask. I haven't had a business yet tell me how to wear a mask. So the mask thing is over. The shore is open. There's no more restrictions. They're telling you to stay 6 feet apart. F you. If Matt wants to get close to me, you know, to the camera, we don't have to put a mask on. But there's still
time to generate revenue,
and there's still idiots out there wearing a mask in their car. But anyway, that's not what the video is about. So the cops are going to start doing it, because here's the deal. This is what pisses me off. All right, fine. So say 2019, Homedale Township Police generated $533,000. All right, great. That's fine. They generate that money. But why is that figured into the budget? Why can't that just be found money? So that is my question. So now what they do is the following year, they figure this money. They're addicted to this money, and this is where it puts the police in an awkward position.
They've already counted on that money coming in.
Right. So, and there's no doubt in my mind, if they're slipping on the money, the administrator doesn't call the chief and say, "Hey, Joe, you need to step it up, or a little short here, buddy.
Start raising some revenue.
You're not going to get that new plate reader you want." So now, as far as this thing, it doesn't affect us.
No.
It doesn't affect any officers as to how many arrests they get and all. That affects them, but it doesn't affect us, because they may say, "No, you can't do it," but winky, winky, they're just not going to say. They're not going to say, officer safety, you only arrested 2 people last year.
Ticket quotas are an unspoken truth.
It's an unspoken truth. You're absolutely right. So anyway, so here you go, another propaganda story.
What is the biggest pirate town in Monmouth County? The biggest one, would you say? Homedale?
No, Homedale's calmed down since I started screwing with them.
Red Bank?
No, Red Bank I don't see. I see Hazlitt's being up there.
Really?
No, you know what I say? Wall Township.
Wall?
Yes, Wall.
Wow.
They're big. I think they're a pirate town.
There was a time about 8-9 years
ago.
I
lived in Wall, so I used to listen to the communications. And they always sit on 195 at rush hour, pulling people over, it's like...
on their way home from work.
Right, they don't fix the problem, they just take advantage of the problem. You want people to slow down, put speed bumps up, they'll slow down. So instead you sit out on one of these state highways where you got people, transient people coming through, and they're going 10 miles over the speed limit, and you're going to screw them. That is predatory enforcement. It's revenue enforcement. Anyway, go ahead, finish up. We're going to get out of here.
No, I think you're right. I think everything that you said is right. And the reason I was smiling, as I still am on the inside, is because this summer, you're going to see these small towns and these smaller towns that rely upon this revenue upping it
Well,
up.
the revenue thing has already started because the state handed out money to the towns that applied for it for
Click it or ticket.
for the click it or ticket thing. So the state is giving your money. It comes out of ticket money, wherever else they get the money from, and they subsidize. It's just like the DWI. They subsidize these towns to put patrol officers out there to issue tickets for a specified thing as not wearing a seatbelt. That in turn generates money for the town, and it generates money for the state. But the bad side of it is, if you're a tax-paying town that doesn't participate in that program, you're now subsidizing another town to make money. And that's what the DWI stuff was about, that we always talked about, that taxpayers of Monmouth County were subsidizing other towns to conduct these DWIs, and the DWIs really were not about DWI. It was about corralling people into a spot and trying to get the dogs on them and trying to generate revenue with motor vehicle tickets. And we proved that by the officers' reports.
I mean, there were so many DUI checkpoints, John, that not a single DUI arrest was made, but they were issuing 20, 30, 35 motor
Well, they did.
summons.
They showed on a couple of the reports they got. Yep. There were, just because you got arrested does not mean you're convicted. You're convicted. So you're spending all this money, you're tying up the traffic, screwing with people, violating their rights, just so you can get somebody who may or may not be drunk. And in the meanwhile, you got some poor scared person in the car, and you're walking over, you got 3 officers walking over, trying to stick their nose in the window, and the dog barking and rubbing its ass on the ground, trying to get into the car.
It's ridiculous.
It's all about money, people. Remember that. It's all about money. And this situation here, because I'm getting a little off track here, it's about cops don't want to be judged by their performance. Well, I really don't know how you judge a cop's performance, because arrests and tickets shows what he...
That's right.
I mean, a cop's job is to enforce laws, so...
This is a double-edged sword.
It really is. It's a conundrum.
It is.
It's like if everything I say is a lie, and I tell you I'm telling the truth, and then I'm lying. But if I say I'm lying, everything. It's like you're chasing your tail there, because a cop's job is to enforce laws. So if he's not arresting and not giving tickets, then one could conclude he's not doing his job.
That's right.
You remember the episode of Star Trek, the old episode where Spock is, I don't know, he's been taken over by something anyways, and he's telling them this alien machine, computer, that everything he says is a lie, and the computer goes crazy and starts smoking. Why did I think of that? I don't know. Anyway, so there you go. Cops say they don't want a ticket, arrest quotas, New Jersey bill banning them, take a step forward. And
I bet you this bill won't be signed into law. I'll bet anything.
Well, I got a feeling it will, because it's all Democrats here in New Jersey, and they hate cops, so I don't know.
I don't think it will. Only because, like you said, then there's no other criteria to evaluate performance.
Well, I don't want these cops being judged by that, because I don't want a cop getting up in the morning and say, "Oh, I got to go out and arrest people. I'm up for a promotion, so I need to arrest Matt Miller and John Van Dyke, and then I'll get my quota and I'll get my promotion to corporal or whatever it is." So, anyway, I'll put the link in the description. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Like, share, subscribe. I'm John Van Dyke for New Jersey Exposed.
Matt Miller.
Till next time, people.
It sound right, boys.